Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
Oh, excuse me. I'm having a hot, steaming, piping cup of Schadenfreude right now. It,
Yeah.
I thought those were salty magateers. I'm sorry, I couldn't see.
it just looks like espresso, but it's extra, extra creamy today.
I gotta say, I don't know which part is the most. First of all, the fact that I thought of you, they're celebrating on Russian TV. They're mocking Donald Trump, right? Just the thing. I mean, and by the way, this was in the Mueller report. The Stormy Daniels hush money payouts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it all was. Everything we've seen everything here before. The only thing we haven't seen was a Justice Department, or in this case, a district attorney, decide that Donald Trump was not above the law. The Trump Justice Department ordered the DA, Cy Vance, not to investigate this. Their own Justice Department would not investigate this, but they sent Michael Cohen to prison for 3 years on the exact same charges, which just goes to show you that there really are two justice systems in America. And unfortunately, there was a glitch in the rich white guy justice system that occurred yesterday. But if I could say one thing,
Yeah.
big props out to the court officers who let that door slam on Trump. It was like, hey, we're guns forward. We're not holding any doors for perp walkers.
I love New York. Just F this guy.
Yeah.
Travis made the interesting point that I mean, it goes right to the heart of it. The part about him saying his usual cheapness. Don't worry, you might have to pay this till because the election will be over. That goes right to the heart of the case that this was election interference. This was to interfere in once again, there's that word again, criminal conspiracy that you wrote about in so many of your books, starting from Trump Russia, right?
Yeah, I think as we start to get down to multiple indictments from multiple investigations, the unified field theory of that this is all somehow related, not just to the presidency, of course, we know that he was willing to lie about that, but to the other scandals which were identified in the Mueller's report. The Trump Russia scandal, espionage. I am waiting for Jack Smith, if that's his real name, to really on the documents probe, because it appears Trump went in and actually hunted through those documents. But for full-bodied Schadenfreude-deliciousness, you have to understand that this investigation was about paying off two women,
Right.
and to cover up possible legitimate child / and or an abortion.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and by the way, all of the, it feels like all the chickens are coming home to roost, right?
Yeah, of course. And by the way, I just got called a Russiagate conspiracy theorist yesterday by Max Blumenthal, which is a badge of honor now. And they said I said that about Glenn Greenwald, which is probably true. But we are not seeing a presidency here that has any decency, any honesty, any dignity. It is the most yesterday, a picture of every president of the United States, minus Donald Trump, and said, none of these people have ever been indicted and arrested. So Donald Trump takes a unique place in the pantheon of American history as being the first verified accused criminal to actually do the perp walk.
Yeah, and as you and I said exhaustively, he was not legitimately elected.
Right.
I mean, it is, and I suppose, I'm wearing my "I will die mad about 2016" because the fact is, a lot of people would be alive today. But that's why, I argue with people that say, oh, this is a tawdry little thing or trivial thing. It's not. This affected, the outcome of not just the 2016 election, but God knows, how many other lives. It's hard to really get your mind around the tragedy. That was the sadness, is that this guy was illegitimately installed in 2016.
And what makes this so interesting is that, remember how mad we were under George W. Bush? With Dick Cheney going out causing hundreds of thousands of people their deaths, and no one holding those people accountable, particularly Barack Obama. I will never forgive Barack Obama for that, the kumbaya moment. but it led directly to Donald Trump. That feeling of impunity that Republicans can get away with anything.
Letting Nixon go. Letting
bring-
Nixon go. This is what we talked to Jill Wine-Banks about yesterday. This created this presidents are above the law thing, didn't it?
Yeah, and and they are still holding themselves to a memorandum that was written by a guy that allowed torture, right, in the Justice Department, saying that presidents in the presidency cannot be tried. Well, all of this has to change, and we will see where America goes from this point. But you know what? We're not going to do it through intimidation. We're not going to do it through rallying up crowds, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to see, we've already seen this backlash against the, people who thought that they could come into the city and really rally people against this, right? And what you find is the average American, is channeling Michael Rappaport and going, get out of here, you animal, get out of New York. Like this is something new no one has ever seen in the history of New York.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, but I keep coming back to that word conspiracy, and I believe, Malcolm, as usual, I believe you're the first one I heard talk about RICO charges, about racketeering, but here we go. It was a criminal conspiracy about Russia. It's Georgia, obviously, we're hearing, RICO. This January 6th, that was not just January 6th, it was the whole fake electors. It was an entire criminal conspiracy, much like what happened in New York. It always is with Donald Trump, and there's always obstruction involved, right?
Yeah, November 2016. That's the first time I used that phrase on Hardball with Chris Matthews. And I said, I think this is you have this broader conspiracy that has an arc of crimes, and I was just at the very beginning of that. Now you're right with the Smith special counsel. He can tie all of this together in a unified field theory, especially with the electors. I'm sorry, the electors issue was the Republican Party essentially trying to racketeer the entire election of the United States by putting in fake electors, fake people to bamboozle and then attempt to use January 6th to overthrow the government. That is racketeering, influence, and a corrupt organization.
And as we always say, it's all one story. It's all about defrauding the United States of America. It is all deeply un-American. And I think, like we keep saying, now you look at the whole Mueller report and you're like, yeah, Bill Barr blocked that, right, and made sure that, that came to. And now we see that's exactly what happened in the Stormy Daniels case. I keep thinking, was it about Al Capone, where they said it seems like justice is never going to come and then it comes all at once? I mean, that's what it feels like is starting to happen. What do you think?
Well, I agree that it's starting to happen. And, there are still people out there today saying, oh, these are misdemeanor-like charges. Hey, a former president of the United States was arrested for doing something just before he was elected president of the United States. The real tragedy is that it caused him a bump in the polls. And we've said that before about the people that vote for him. They do not care about laws. They do not care about America. They do not care about the Constitution. They believe that autocracy, tribalism, is what is going to build their version of America that's occurring in their heads. The only question is, are they willing to go to guns over this? And we haven't seen it. We haven't really seen a response from this because we do have 240 some odd years of ingrained believing in the justice system, and giving it its chance.
By the way, these are not misdemeanors. Falsifying business records, the charge Trump faces 34 counts of, is only a felony if the records were falsified with the intent to commit or conceal another crime. These are felony crimes, no matter who you are, is what Alvin Bragg said yesterday. So, boy, they tried to get out in front of this and, exonerate Trump before they even saw the charges. And it seems to me that's a lot of felony egg on their face now, right?
Yeah, and again, we're just at the beginning of this. This was Stormy Daniels' pre-election crimes. Just imagine now how many people are going to be emboldened, all right, to be the second person, the third person, the fourth person to finally bring those charges, right? And what I suspect is what I predicted 6 or 7 years ago, that there will be an avalanche of criminality that will go through, and all of those people are going to have to decide whether they're going to, go along with Donald Trump's version of events. It worked with Paul Manafort. It worked with Mike Flynn. All of these true believers out there who believe that Trump will get them off, right? But now Steve Bannon has no such protections,
Right.
For his trials, and they arrested the guy that was funding him, the Chinese American millionaire who was funding all of these right-wing things that were going on underground. Donald Trump now is no immunity for them anymore, unless he steals the next election through gerrymandering, vote rigging, and secretaries of state that throw it back to fake electors.
Yeah.
We have to go guard.
Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. I hope you'll join me on my new audio podcast, Justice Matters. I'll be using my 30 years as a federal prosecutor and Army JAG to unpack, break down, and explain the legal issues of the day, particularly where the legal intersects with the political. Please look for Justice Matters with Glenn Kirshner wherever you generally get your podcasts.